All right, so after my night's sleep in the car, I'm gonna show you some of the tips and tricks that I've figured out. So let's hop right in.
Now, let's review.
So what I like is you can sit down, take your shoes off, right? Because it's gonna be dewy or dirty or muddy or whatever. And you can put them right in the front without having to get your feet dirty one way or the other. All right, so here I am in the Dreamcase. It's nice and relaxing to have a bed in the back of your car. It comes with these pillows here, and these pillows are nice, but they are not nice for your head necessarily. I would take the pillows off of your bed at home and use those for your head pillows. These pillows are just about the same thickness as the mattress. You might notice that that's not very thick. So as you can see, it's not terribly thick, so it's not like a mattress that you're used to sleeping on, which means that you're gonna have pressure points. If you're a side sleeper, for instance, your hips might be, pushing into the mattress to the point where, it's not that comfortable. I would take your extra pillow, put it right where you want it, and lay on that. And that way you're getting double the thickness right where you need it, and the rest of it is good enough. One of the major advantages of the Dreamcase is that it folds up small enough so that way you can actually fit some stuff in your trunk in addition to the Dreamcase, which means that it can be sitting in your car almost all the time. This is great if you're going on a road trip where you don't exactly know where you're going to end up that night. It means that if you're getting really sleepy and you're still driving, you can pull over somewhere and have a nap so that way you can get to your destination safely. So the Dreamcase is absolutely enough room for one person to sleep, unquestionably. I can, be out, just laid out, spread out, sleeping, relaxing, all by myself. But if I want to fit two people in the back, it can be a little tight, but there are some things that you can do that really make it a lot more comfortable. Now you might be saying, well, why didn't they just design the Dreamcase for two people? It doesn't have anything to do with the Dreamcase. It has everything to do with the Model 3. So if we come in here, you'll see that right here on the Model 3, this is, I believe, the wheel well, where the wheel well is, and the suspension for it. And on the other side, you have that right here. So you have this distance to sleep two people, and that's the main limiting factor. Now, it's not such a big deal because humans are shaped kind of roughly T-shaped, so your arms are the things that are going to be sticking out, and your legs are mostly just going to be sticking straight down, right? So for the most part, unless you sleep completely wild, there's not much of a big deal. But I'll show you one aspect and one little trick. So if I'm sleeping here, you'll notice that there's this drop off here, and I have the door open so you can see it, but there's all this room for your arms to just sort of be flopping around. And it's not terribly comfortable. So what you can do is you can take a nice big fluffy pillow, stuff it between you and the door, and now it almost extends the mattress out. It makes the mattress feel like it's like a foot bigger on either side. It really takes it from feeling like you're sleeping on maybe a twin mattress to feel like you're sleeping on a double or even a small queen mattress, at least in the arm category. So if I close the door here, and I stuff the pillow down in there, you can see that it almost adds this room to the mattress. So now if I'm sleeping over here and I want to put my arms like this, right, which would normally just sort of be hanging off into the abyss, it's very comfortable because now you have this soft pillow. Without that, my arms are hanging uncomfortably off the edge of what is essentially nothing. So if you wanted to stuff some things in here, some little snacks, some little water bottles or whatever, you could do that. Then come in, cover it with the pillow, and if you need it in the middle of the night, all you have to do is pull the pillow out of the way and you have access to your stuff. So a cool part about being in the Dreamcase is that the car kind of suddenly changes to where this used to be sort of behind your head when you're sitting in the car. Now it becomes this little shelf. And it's extremely useful because most of the time when you're sitting in a bed, you don't have like a useful shelf above you. Like, so when you're laying down, you don't have this shelf, which means that anytime you want to like watch a movie or do anything, you either have to have a TV on the other side of the room or you have to be holding it, with your phone. With this, you can take a laptop and start watching your favorite show or whatever. So this shelf is really useful. Not only can you, put a laptop or an iPad or even your phone up there and watch, but you can also, stuff some pillows up there that you don't need at the moment. You can take your phone and stuff, you could put it up there as well if you're not charging it. So it's a nice little, utility space. And it also blocks the view from passersby. I don't know where you're parking and sleeping. So, it blocks the view from other people looking into at least from the back of the car. So the Dreamcase comes with sheets. It comes with this nice Dreamcase blanket. It fits the bed perfectly because this is kind of an odd shaped bed. One thing that I want to talk about is how perfectly it fits the car. It has a little flap that folds down, which means that it extends off of the seat right here. So this is extending well off of the seat, which means that you're getting way more room than you could with basically any other design. The engineering that went into this is really smart. Now, I've slept in the back of a Model 3 before there was even a Dreamcase available. And what we did was we took a futon and we shoved it into the back. Now there's a huge problem with taking anything that's too big or too small and putting it in the back of the car. If it's too big, it's going to need to fold up around the pinch points, which are these, the suspension area for the Model 3. As soon as you lose any inches of room, it is almost impossible to sleep with two people because now you are smushed together with your legs. Having it so that way the mattress just ends right there is extraordinarily helpful in trying to sleep two people, which I think most people are going to want to do. Sleeping two people is probably the hardest thing to do in the back of the car, and the Dreamcase does it as good as physically possible. Now, if you had something that was too narrow, again, you'd run into the same problem where you would be rolling off the side of it. So instead of being squished together, you'd constantly be rolling onto a hard surface. This is as good as it gets, as far as I can tell. So some people have asked, can you sleep in this direction, where your head is faced towards the trunk? And I think you'd have to be, not claustrophobic. You'd have to be claustrophilic. You'd need to really like confined spaces because there's not a lot of room in this direction. Also with my particular Model 3, there's no covering for a lot of the stuff here. So there's some, there's some bolts just exposed here. There's just some metal work. It's not really comfortable. If you woke up in the middle of the night, you'd probably hit your head. It is, however, comforting to know that you can open the trunk from inside the trunk. There's a little latch that you can actually open, and it's glow in the dark, so you can see it even at night. So one of the things that I really like about the Dreamcase, it has nothing to do with the Dreamcase. It has to do with the Tesla Model 3. And that is the air conditioning. You can set it to stay on all night long, which is amazing. So what you do is you click on this little fan icon here, and when you're in park, it'll give you this option of keep climate on. You hit on, and climate will stay on after you leave the car. In this case, you're not leaving the car, but it will turn off when the battery reaches 20%, which gives you roughly 60 miles, worst case scenario. I had this running all night last night. I started with only like 130 miles, 120 miles, and I ended up with about 95 miles. So it does use some battery juice because it is keeping you cool or warm all night long, and it will vary depending on the difference in temperatures. Like if you're asking it to be, 60 degrees when it's 100 degrees outside, obviously that's going to take a lot more energy than if you want it to be 72 when it is 72 at night. That is one really great option. Now, one thing that gets overlooked is where you're pointing your vents. Because when you're sleeping, this is where most of the air is coming from. There is a vent over here by the console, but that is going to be underneath your mattress. So you're unfortunately not going to be getting any air from over there. So what you should probably do, and you can play around with this, is aim your vents to shoot over the seat, the front seats, and either shift them to point towards the middle, Or you could try different things where you try and split it to go around the seats in the front. You could try a number of different things. I would personally leave it on auto, but if you're noticing that you're getting too much fog on the interior, or if it's getting too hot or too cold, you could switch it to a manual fan speed, whether that be higher or lower, whatever you want. I would make sure that if you're camping with air conditioning on, that you have access to charging of some kind within, I would say, about 20 miles. Maybe even less than that, just to play it safe. Just because you don't want to be caught in the middle of the wilderness with no battery. That would be bad. All right, so what's probably the biggest secret about the Dreamcase is that you can go from bed to no bed in a very short period of time. Let me show you what I mean. Fold this up, get that flap up, then simply bring it like this, fold it right in there, and this should just fit down like that. All right, so you have your seats, the bed is tucked away secretly in the back, so if you were going camping and you're like, let's go to a restaurant and let's go up a mountain or whatever, you could take your friends who are camping with you up the mountain, out to the restaurant, whatever you're gonna do, and then you get back to the campsite, it's time to go to bed. So fold down your seats, get your bed, fold it out, get the flap folded down, and voila, you got a bed. All right, so I know what some people are saying. This Dreamcase, it sounds great, but it just doesn't sound worth it. I mean, it's too expensive for me. And it is expensive, but I'll put it to you this way. Say you're going on a trip, say you're going on some kind of long-term adventure, and you know that you're going to need to sleep somewhere every night. You can either stay at a motel, which could cost anywhere from, I suppose $40 all the way up to about $150 if you're looking for the cheapest motel. Sometimes it just is expensive. Let's say I go on a week-long adventure, I'm sleeping in the back of the car instead of going to motels. It could probably pay itself off in that amount of time. And I would add that, it makes it a little bit more of an adventure. It's a little more exciting. It's a lot more fun to be on an adventure as opposed to pulling into the motel, walking in, giving them your ID, giving them your credit card, paying for the motel. You're always trying to find the cheapest motel. The bed is going to be hit or miss. Some nights it's going to be like, oh, a nice comfortable bed. Sometimes it's going to be like, this is a disgusting room. And sometimes it's going to be like, oh, they made the bed out of concrete. How considerate. With this, you know what you're getting. And you can basically pull over anywhere and sleep for the night. So one of the biggest reasons that I bought a Tesla was to go supercharging, because superchargers are awesome. You can get very far, very fast. And so if you want to go from point A to point B, that is an excellent option, is supercharging. The problem with supercharging is that it's made for efficiency. It's made for time efficiency. It wants you to take the highway. There are many back roads and byways that you can take that make a great adventure, and you can hit a lot of superchargers, but there are some places, there are still some little gaps in the supercharger network where you could find a camping place, a place that will have like a 40 amp outlet that would normally run an RV. You can be using that to charge and still be out in the middle of nowhere on an adventure. And the Dreamcase means that you can actually go and experience it. You're like, oh, this is a beautiful meadow. Let's stay here for the night. Or we can't quite make it across this weird, V where the supercharger's going this way, supercharger's going that way, but we want to get to this national park right in the middle. We can head there, find a campsite, a campground with a plug. We can charge there over the night while we sleep. That's true for destination chargers, every kind of thing where it's like, this isn't a supercharger. We need to be here for a few hours to charge up the car. let's sleep, let's take a nap, let's relax. Because you don't necessarily have to be sleeping in the back of your Dreamcase. You can just use it as a little crash pad, a little like, oh, I'm just gonna relax here while we're supercharging, while we're charging up, you know, or while we're getting ready for the next leg of our adventure.
Thanks for watching. Now let's review. For more tech reviews, subscribe below.